All right, well, welcome to another Realvolve Fireside Chat for Beginners. My name is Mark Stepp. I am the Chief Innovation Officer here at Realvolve and your host for today's webinar. I want to welcome everybody here and want to give you some ground rules for what we're doing. In your control panel on the right-hand side of your screen, probably there is an area for questions. Go in there, type in whatever questions that you have. This particular session goes until you guys don't have any questions. It's just you and me, and we'll go through whatever questions. If you have a particular problem within Realvolve, you have some kind of challenge that you're not sure how to get around, that you think is probably more in line with your data that we would need to take a look at, I would recommend, highly recommend, that you come down here to the bottom of the screen and click on the live chat support. Make sure that you go in and share your challenges with our support team. They'll be more than happy to help you through whatever things that you need help with. If they're not there for whatever problem that you've got, maybe it's after hours, you can use the submit a support ticket down at the bottom and submit whatever ticket that you want. You can also go to our help screen, which actually I've got up here. You can just click on and come to the help screen. There's all kinds of different help items that you can typically find and be able to do some basic searches for keywords, how you do this or that or whatever. Lastly, one of the things that we added this year, which has been beneficial to a lot of people, is our how do I walkthroughs, in which case you can type in a specific question. It'll find any of the walkthroughs that we currently have, and then you'll be able to go through and see things. You can also see them by categories. If I wanted to see, how do I add a contact, how do I add a tag, all these different things, how I delete a contact. All these different things will actually step you through the process of doing them. Instead of just telling you, it actually shows you step by step and has you click on the individual buttons, which is really cool. So what I need you guys to do is just click on that questions area. If you've got a particular question, type it in. Let me know what you're having challenges with, and we'll just kind of start going down through there. Here's one. How do I get a list of contacts that have birthdays for this month? Okay, so what you would do in the contacts area, you're going to go into your dashboard, click on contacts, make sure you get your list of contacts on the left-hand side. From here, you've got several different filter options. Filters at the top. Anytime that you use these filters, it will limit the list over here on the left-hand side. Click on the little calendar piece, and there are multiple different date fields that you can search on and do ranges for. We do have one in here for birthday. There's also one for relationship anniversary date. So if you wanted to find out everybody that had an anniversary this month or whatever, you can certainly do that. Click on the birthday option. It's actually the default one. You do have two options with some of these annual dates, like birthday, anniversary, the sale and purchase dates that are in there. We give you the option of doing it either with a year or without a year. Say you want to find everybody that you sold a house to in June. You can go in there and say without a year. And that way, no matter what year it is, if it was in June, it would do it. If it's in May or whatever you select the date range, but it would ignore the actual year. In this case, if you want to pull up, now this is just my sample database, and I'm quite confident that I don't have too many birthdays in any other place other than probably February, and that's because my birthday's in February, so any samples I typically put in February. So I'm going to say, show me all the birthdays that are between February 1st and the 28th. And you'll see that whenever I put in that range, it immediately shows me a list of the people and a count. So I can close that filter. Once I have that filter in there, you'll see that it is highlighted a little darker. That means that this filter is on, so you're not seeing all the contacts in your database, you're just seeing the ones that are filtered. I can also go in here and say, well, I want to sort this list by a certain date or field of some sort. So we do have one on here for birthday. So if I do the sort by the birth date and look at my list, it changed the order in which they were shown. So then I click on the view all, and by having this sort by selected, it goes ahead and puts that as a very last column on the right hand side. So I can see everybody's birthday, the date of their birth, in the order in which it is shown. So that should give you what you want. You can then go in there, click on them if you want to send them all the emails, or maybe you only want to do it for a certain date range. You can certainly do that, or individually go into each one, make individual calls, or whatever you wanted to do with this list. You can certainly do it from here. One thing that I do recommend people doing is, if you're in this view all, one of the challenges with a web-based application is the fact that if you click on something and it opens up another screen, clicking on the back button can take you back, but doesn't always bring you back to the exact list in the place that you were at. If this list was real long, if you had a bunch of names in here and you're down here at the bottom and you click on it, if you come back, it may show you the full list of everything, but it may not be in the, it may not have selected the one that you particularly picked. So one thing that I do recommend you guys do at times, if you're wanting to leave your list up, and each one of these names are links to a record, you can just, instead of clicking on it with your normal clicker, you can click on it and say open in a new window, and it will open up that contact in a new window of Realvolve, so that you can see all the content, you can make your phone calls, make your notes, whatever, and then once you're done with it, just close that window and you're back to your list. Just a quick way of doing that. You can do the same type of thing for just setting it to a new tab if you wanted to, but that is a quick and easy way to get to your contacts and make sure you don't lose the list that you were on. So, any other questions? Hope that answered that. How do I delete just one contact? Okay, so let me show you. One thing I didn't show on that last one is we've got the date on here, and it's only showing my 3 names. If I want to clear my filters, just click on the little X here, and it'll clear everything back to the full list. So the question is, how do I delete just one contact? So every contact in your database, you have a couple different ways of deleting them. If you move over an individual contact, one of the things you'll see over here, and it's kind of hidden in a way, it's until you move your mouse over it, there's a little gray circle with an X in it, and that is the little icon to let you delete the one that you are hovering over. Some of them are a little bit easier to see, and if you've got a high contrast monitor, it's possible that you don't see it well, so you might want to adjust some of your settings on there. But basically, just moving your mouse over the top of any contact, clicking on the delete this contact, it'll come up, say, are you sure you want to delete this? If you answer yes, it will send it to the trash. You just go ahead and delete him. What that does is it removes it from the list here, and it will go then under settings, and we've got an area here for trash, in which case I have mine set up to sort by recently deleted, so the one that I just deleted is up here at the top. If I want to restore it, I can click on the little restore button. If I want to permanently delete it and get rid of it, I can click on delete permanently. If I have a bunch of them in here that I want them all restored, I can click on restore all or delete all permanently. Once you delete them, they're gone. We won't bring them back. We can't bring them back. So be careful if you're doing a delete all permanently option or clicking on the little X here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the little restore button so that puts George back into my list. Come back over into my dashboard, click on my contacts area, and George Foreman or Froman should be in there, which he is. The other way of deleting, just so that the other people know, is, you might have seen it, is clicking on the view all option here. You can go in there and select multiple contacts. Maybe you're doing a lot of cleanup, you want to find any duplicates, then you just want to get rid of them, whatever. Mark the ones that you want to get rid of. over here on the far right-hand side is this little additional to more menu. Some people call that a hamburger. I see it, but it's a real far stretch from a hamburger. But the three little bars, and down at the bottom towards the bottom, there's a button here for delete. You can click on the delete, and it would delete all the marked records. If you go in here, select all, and do that, it will get rid of everybody in your database, so be cautious there. Hope that helps. Once again, for those that are just joining us, there's an area for questions under the Go To Webinar control panel, and if you click on that, you can put in your question and be able to see everything that that you're able to. Sorry, got mixed up there. All you need to do is click on your question and be able to type it in, and I'll start answering those. It's interesting. Any other questions? How do I add my assistant so that she can log in? Okay. Whenever you first get Realvolve, you can get an individual account, and whenever you get a login, an individual account, it automatically includes an assistant login as well, which a lot of our competitors don't do that exactly the same way, and they would charge you for it. But you can go in under settings. Over here on the left-hand side, there is an area for users and permissions. Under users and permissions, we have which users are in here. Now, I've got an account that allows me to have more than two, depending on the account that you've got. If you've got a single user, it'd just be one plus an assistant. For those that have more, it's just a matter of clicking on this invite a new user. Whenever you click on invite a new user, it will have you enter the first name, last name, and email address of the person you want to give access to your database to. What that does is that will send an invitation. They'll get an email in their normal email address, whatever you've told it that it is right there, and a link that they can click on so that they can log in and add their own password. Once they've got their own password, then, and they've typed it in, then it will create an area like this one for any assistant where you, as the administrator, if you're the owner of the account, you have the ability to set up certain rights and stuff for this person. By default, whenever this person gets added, they do not see any of your data. They don't see any of your contacts, none of your properties listings, any of your workflows, your templates, none of that. They can add their own record information, and you can see theirs, but they cannot see yours by default. If they are an administrator, somebody that needs access to everything, the easiest thing to do is just click on this little checkbox to make as admin, and that gives them basically full access to all the data, all the information, and be able to do basically anything that you do. There are a few exceptions, but for the most part, that's what that does. If instead you want to go in there and give them just certain access to certain things, you can come in under this, the permissions area. There's a click here to configure your security permissions. And here there are multiple options. I'm going to clear these off just to show you what a kind of the default one would be. Clear off this. Okay. Typically, whenever you get a brand new user, this is all it's showing. Okay. You're giving access to all the different sections. They can read for themselves, create new records, they can update, and they can delete. If you don't want them to even be able to delete, you can delete that that security option. If you don't want them to be able to change or update, I'm questioning whether they should even be in there in the first place. But there is some options there. Now, if you want to maybe give them access to your workflows or to your templates, but not everything else, you can come in here and click on this Add New, and it will add a new line entry here, and you can click on and choose what section of Realvolve that you want them to have access to, whether it's the contacts, properties, the transactions, your workflow, your templates, any tasks or calendar items, the documents, and also notes as an individual item. So you could just give them access to the notes if you need to. Most people, what they want to do, that I hear a lot of questions of, is give them access to workflows to use, but not to modify. So you can come in here and say, well, I want to give them read access to the workflows for all users, meaning you can share them. And what that does then is whenever they go into workflows, if you've created workflows, if any of the other users have created workflows, then this user, in this case Annie Assistant, would be able to see them. She would not be able to, because I've got it set for read. Read access means she can see them. View could be another term there, but does not have the ability to delete them, does not have the ability to update or modify them. If I wanted to allow Annie to modify as well, I could add another entry for workflow and then come in under and choose update for all users. That way she can create and update her own, but she can also read and update. Once you get everything the way you want, just click on it. And then you are all set for that. So that's how you add a new user. Make sure you set up the rights that you need. If you need help on that, again, just visit our live chat support and our team will be able to help you with that. Any other questions? Don't have any questions today. I have Google Sync set up, but my workflow activities are not syncing. What am I doing wrong? Absolutely nothing. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just the way that it's set up. So let me show you something. Under the workflow area, and we're just going to pick, say, a new closing. I'm not sure what all we've got in here, and pick one of these. One of the things that we have available, and actually this is an older one, so it's going to be there by default. Let me see about 5-star. 5-star, yeah, it does too. Okay, so here, whenever you're creating workflows, by default, activities do not synchronize to Google automatically. They used to, and that's why all these are probably set up that way. They used to do it automatically, but more people were saying, well, let me choose the ones that I want. So in most cases, the activities that you've got probably do not have this little checkbox assigned. So whenever you create an activity within a workflow, by default, it's going to, I'm just going to go into it like this as if it's a new one. It's going to be blank like this. You can assign or check the individual activities of a workflow that you do want in there. A majority of them you probably don't. I mean, if it's a matter of updating the database or doing things like that, you could probably care less whether that particular item is on your Google Calendar. What would be important would be your closings, your expirations, any particular appointments or luncheon meetings type things that you may have that you've built into different workflows. Make sure that those items do have the Google Sync this activity so that whenever it gets added to your calendar from the starting of a workflow, that not only does it add it to the Realvolve calendar, it also adds it into your Google Calendar. So I would say that's the problem. If that's not the problem, if you do have it on there and it's still an issue, visit our chat support, and that we should be able to get it figured out for you. I would say that that's probably the challenge, though. Anything else? For those people that are just now joining us, there's an area to ask your questions. Make sure you type in your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. This particular webinar only goes until we run out of questions or until the hour's up. Don't want to waste anybody's time either. So, any other questions? How do I set up a new lead follow-up to send a text notification to myself that a lead has come in? Okay, I have some samples of that. Maybe that's what you're looking at. I think I do Ring Central. Okay, referral to agent. Maybe I don't have it in here. New listing. Let me see. Lead. Okay, here. New lead with an SMS notification to owner. So here's the way this is set up, and this is pretty cool, so it may be something that you want. Whenever you are dealing with leads that are coming in from your website, from Zapier, Zapier has, we've got the integration so you can bring in leads from any of your sites, and you start the workflow automatically on that lead. One of the things that you may want to have happen is to send a notification to yourself, or if you're a rainmaker, that's kind of what I did here. If you're a rainmaker for your team and you are bringing in the leads and you're dispersing amongst the other people, you could use this type of scenario. And what it does is every activity in this, which there's only 4 of them in this sample, you can go in there and assign it to the record owner. And the record owner is the record owner of the contact that's being brought in. I'm going to go ahead and edit this just so you can see the details on it. So send agent, whoever the agent is, in this case, which would be the record owner, the new lead info by SMS, which is exactly what you asked about. In this case, the assigned to is whoever the record owner is, so whenever that lead comes in, it's assigned to somebody. Whoever that somebody is the record owner. So if it came in and Joe Agent was the record owner of that contact that came in, whenever this workflow gets started, it's going to assign this activity to John Smith. And the width in this is kind of the, I guess if you're going to say tricky part, this is the tricky part to this. For the notification, normally if you're starting a workflow, you're going to be sending it to the person you started the workflow on, correct? So in this particular activity, we're not wanting to send the notification to Joe Smith or Mary Doe or whoever the lead is that's coming in. We want it to go to the record owner, in which case we've got an option here called contact of assigned to Realvolve user. And I know that sounds kind of cryptic, but once you break it down, it makes sense. We have a field here called assigned to, and we don't necessarily know yet who that person is, but every user in the database, we went over the users earlier. Annie Assistant is a user, and I think Joe Agent is a user in this database. Once that record owner is assigned, it'll go to that person. But not only do you have user information, in the database, in the contact database, you have a linked contact for each user. So you have a login to Realvolve, but you also have, and it's linked together with that user, a contact record for that user. So, and the way, let me open this up as a new tab. The way you distinguish that information is if we look at our contacts, and I look at Annie Assistant here, you'll see she has a little extra icon here. And by the way, the delete option is not there. You can't delete a user-linked record. So just if you're asking, you're not allowed to do that. But you'll see that whenever I move my mouse over the top of this, it'll say user Annie Assistant is linked to this contact. So if I go in here and I look at Annie Assistant, I can see basic information and if there was a phone number or whatever, and I don't have anything in here, go 555-1212, tab out of there. Now she has a cell phone number. So what would happen is if the record comes in, the contact comes in, the record owner is assigned. If it's assigned to Annie Assistant, then it's going to look at whoever the assigned to is on this, in this case Annie Assistant. It's going to look at the contact record of Annie Assistant, which was this record right here, and finds that phone number and sends the text message to that contact. I know that's a little bit confusing, but that gives you some really cool powers, superpowers. So you can create not only round-robin option to assigning all your user stuff, but you can create contacts in those so that whenever you want to notify them, you want to email them, whatever, you can do that just as if they're a regular contact in your database. And that becomes real powerful. The other options that you might want to do is send that notification to a specific contact. Here's the thing. You might get a notification. Actually, you might set one activity here up to go to the record owner like we've got here. You may want to send another notification maybe to yourself. If you're the rainmaker and you want to make sure that everybody's getting their stuff whenever a lead comes in, create another activity that sends that same lead to you and inside that text message who the record owner is. Because all it is a template, and that template can use all those merge fields, and that's a really powerful piece. I want to open that up as well as a new tab. Go to that in a second. You can also say, well, I want to send it to anybody that's tagged with something. So what you could do is you could send this text message to anybody that is tagged with on call this weekend. So in the case that a person is added to the database and you want multiple people to get notified, you could create a tags, any kind of tagging system that says, hey, send it to whoever's tagged with, and then whatever tag you want to identify it with. So that way you can be very dynamic in your creation of those, and it's a very powerful piece of what's going on there. You can also see we've got some contact property options where you can say, I want to send it to whoever this was referred by or referred to. A new lead, as long as that's somehow getting in there, that would work. But if you're, that would probably be more useful if you're manually adding that referral information to that contact. So some good stuff there. But in either case, in this particular case, we would send it to that Realvolve user's contact record, and then it actually sends this send SMS notification template, which if we look down here, it is sending the a new lead template, which come over here and say a new lead. There it is. So in this case, it would send a little text message saying new lead. The lead's mailing name, it could be John and Mary Smith. It could just be John Smith, Mary Smith, whatever, individually or a couple. It'll have their phone number with the mobile number that was put in, as well as the email address that was probably put in as well. So this particular case, it's just set up to send that text message to the record owner of that contact, the record owner being Annie Assistant, if it was added that way. So some cool pieces there. If you guys need help on that, let us know. But that's how you do it. I hope that made sense. Any other questions? It's been about 30 minutes. Got another 30 minutes if you guys need it. Can I set up my agents to automatically get the leads equally without doing it myself? Yes, that's whenever those leads are coming in, doing that record owner piece is an important piece to that. the question, I guess what you have there is how do you assign that record owner? So one of the things that we've got in place here is under the settings area, you can go in under record owner assignments, this very last option. In this record owner assignments, you can set up an unlimited number of groups of record owner assignments, being that a group being more than one user. We have two ways of assigning record owners. We have a round robin option, what's called round robin, and what that does is whoever's in the list gets a new contact issued to them as a record owner whenever a new one comes in, and then the next person gets the next lead. So it just kind of goes through at the end of the list. If you've got 10 people, and once it reaches that 10th person, on the 11th time, it'll go back to the top and start going back down that list again. In this case, on my sample, I've only got 2 people, so it doesn't do a whole lot of good. But it'll switch equally between the 2 users. So the way you add that is you come up here to the top, you click on the little plus, and you give this grouping a name. Round robin and my awesome team, whatever. And I can't type, sorry. Then you select the type. Now I'm gonna choose round robin here just for grins. I'll cover the multiple owners here in a second. But choose round robin, and then you can come up here and say who is to be in this round robin My Awesome Team. Well, I'm going to put Joe Agent in that list. I'm going to put Annie Assistant in that list. If you had 10 users, pick whichever ones that you want in that list, and it puts them here in this grouping down here at the bottom. You can change the order in which they are listed if you want. You can change them around or whatever. Once you get them in the order and position you want, click on the Save button, and it will assign them to this list. In a Zap, for Zapier, one of the fields that we added was, actually it's been there, but one of the fields that's there is a field for record owner. And by default, it puts you as the record owner, whoever set up the Zap and use whoever's integration key that is assigned, it'll put it in automatically. But in that same drop-down, instead of picking an individual contact or individual user for that, you can pick one of these groupings. And whenever it finds this group, then it just uses it. So that's how you would do that. I guess I really ought to go ahead and show you. Go to Zapier. And go to my Zaps. I want to make sure you guys see this. Okay, new leads to my Realvolve account. Okay, so here is lead area. We have setups for this. There's a lot to Zaps and some really powerful stuff you can do. That's why we have it in there. It's really cool. One of the fields that we have in here, whenever you're assigning the action part of Realvolve, you have this record owner field here. And if you click on the little down arrow on here, you'll see there's Joe Agent. I can specify specific people or any assistant. But here is my round robin team B, round robin team A, and the round robin My Awesome Team that I just added is there as well. So if I picked that in that record owner, then anytime a new lead is added, it would assign it appropriately. So that's there. Something while I'm in here, might as well bring it up. One of the things just this past week that we added to the Zapier integration, which is really cool, is used to stop here at SMS Text Message. We've added a bunch of new fields. The contact stage, the contact status, birthdays, anniversaries, several of the different date fields. We've also added this interested in property address. So a lot of people have on their own personal website, they've got a section set up so that people can look at what listings are available. They click on it. They click on a particular listing and they say, yeah, I want more information about this property. You click on that button and it would ask for pertinent information, in which case a lead would then be put in here. So what you can do is if one of your fields coming in from that lead source website is the property address, you can now assign that right here in this interested in property address, and it will assign that address to that contact. So cool options there. Also assigning them to categories A, B, C, D. Also kids, which this may not make a whole lot of sense to you. One of the other features of the Zap could be you guys might send out a form to any new clients and say, hey, tell me about yourself. What are what are your interests? What are all these different things? In which case you can assign your categories. You can assign all these other things, but also there's a place there for the kids' birthdays and stuff. So technically, your clients can be filling in your database for you with some of this data. So just some cool features that we've added there. Hope you enjoy those. Those are some good things there. Any other questions? Give me some time here. No more questions. Hang on a second. What's this? My list of contacts on my iPhone app are not syncing automatically. How do I get an updated list on the phone? Okay, so it should automatically update for you. Let me 1 second here. Let me update. Let me get my phone going here real quickly. Let me pull this down here. Okay, so this is a video of my phone. I've got my phone so that you guys can also be able to see it here. So I'm moving my thumb on here, moving it up and down or whatever. So one of the things that you can do is logging in and logging out. It should automatically update it. But if you go into a particular area, say I go into the contacts area, and something is not updated, one of the things that you can do, and obviously you can't see my thumb, I'll just pretend like this is my thumb. You can click somewhere on the screen and drag it down. And I'm going to do that. I'm just going to click and I'm going to drag down. And then whenever you do that, you'll see that it says refreshing contacts. Make sure that you drag it down far enough, not just to pull to refresh, but pull it down until it says refreshing. That could be the issue, is maybe you're just, because I did that. I kind of pulled down and saw that sign says pull to refresh. I thought that was refreshing, and our team says, no, you actually got to pull it down just a little bit further until it says refreshing contacts. Hope that makes sense. Any of those different sections can do that. If I go into properties, do that same thing. Properties, all that stuff's in there. For those that have not seen it, we do have the mobile app. Might as well go through this real quick. Section on here where you can see the dashboard right now is really just a conglomeration of all the notes and stuff. You can filter your notes. Come in here and say, I just want to see certain contacts or whatever. I can also scroll up and down. I can see which ones of these are emails. If I want to go to a particular person, I can click on their name. In this case, if I wanted to click on Bruce Wayne, it'll then pull up Bruce's information and see everything in there. I can see all the tags, all the contact information. If there's a spouse or anything, I can click to the links on that. I can also, down at the bottom down here, you can see that there's an area for notes. I can see any notes for Bruce in particular. I can go over here to the properties side and see what properties are assigned to Bruce. I can click on a particular property, see the details on that. I can go to the notes on the properties. I can go to the people on that property. From the people, I can then click on individual contacts names, so I can go to the party members of that. It just keeps going and going and going. So there's all kinds of possibilities there. Any showing information, marketing information that may be in there. I don't really have anything in there on that one. If I go back up to the top, I can switch just to my properties and see all the properties that I may have. Be able to see that same stuff. I can do the same thing for transactions. Be able to see all the transactions for a particular piece and be able to scroll up and down, see any notes for that transaction, seeing the people that were involved with that transaction, and again, drill down and see stuff. Up at the top right, there's an area to edit, so you can edit the contacts, add tags, remove tags, do all the stuff. That's really cool. And then one piece that is not in our iPhone app on the main store, I'm still doing some finalized, we're still testing some pieces, is the calendar item. It's very close. We should be releasing it very soon, in which case this shows you, up at the top you've got 3 different areas. The past, things that are past due, where you can click on them and see anything that has not been done we do only show right now, we are only showing the last 7 days, but just so that it doesn't wear down the system. Anything that's due, if I want to click here on the due, things that are due today, and today's May 18th, so I can do that. If I want to complete something, I can swipe and mark it done. I can edit it or I can delete it. So I can swipe left on that and be able to make changes to it if I want to, or I can go in and just drill down and see the activity itself. I also have the ability, so in this particular case, this particular activity is assigned to Bruce Wayne. So if I click on Bruce Wayne, it will take me to Bruce Wayne. So continue that whole drill down of information. So you've got everything at your fingertips there. I can also go to my schedule, my daily schedule, to see what are the things that I've got to do today, and be able to add or delete items. Once they're done, you'll see this one that says send weekly seller report. This is an activity that's automatic. It sends out the email automatically, and it was due for today that needed to go out, and it went ahead and sent it, and it went ahead and marked it off as being complete for the day. So I didn't have anything to do with it other than the fact that I had originally set it up some time ago. So you have all those capabilities to do all the different things that's on here. So I hope that helps. We do have some coming soon area, things that are being worked on that should be released in the coming updates. And then, of course, you can log out. And that's pretty much it for that. Any other questions? Not seeing anything else. Thank you, thank you. All right. Going once, going twice. I'm going to cut out about 15 minutes early if you guys don't have anything else. Glad everybody's joined us. If there's anything that you need from us, let us know. We're here to help you. And if you've got particular questions, again, just go down to that live chat support down here at the bottom, and our support team would be happy to help you out. So if there's nothing else, I'm going to call it a day, guys. Appreciate your time. Thank you for taking the time to learn Realvolve. And I'm calling it. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you later.